Hi, I'm Eric Schumacher Rasmussen of Streaming Media, and I'm back with Christopher Levy of BuyDRM. Christopher, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Eric. It's been a long night, but it's exciting to see democracy in action.
It is. We are. If you're watching this a little later, we are recording this interview the morning after election night, and you shouldn't read anything into the colors of our shirts or our walls or anything like that right now.
Nah.
But anyway, we spoke a little bit with Christopher a few weeks back about DRM and sort of the big picture of what's going on with content protection. And today we're going to dig in a little bit deeper. Obviously, in the last few months with the pandemic, there's been a massive movement towards people watching more streaming video. A recent survey said that 50% of viewers have added at least one streaming service subscription to their household. Online content consumption has doubled in the last 8 to 10 months. So with all of that, I know some of your larger clients have seen considerable uptake on their platforms. How is BuyDRM keeping up with that demand with the KeyOS MultiDRM service?
There are obviously some very well-defined touch points in a DRM platform like KeyOS. Those are pretty common across the industry, just like most CDNs have the ability to publish content, to push it out to the edge, to expire the cache, to link to it, to hash link it and stream protect it. DRM is no different. So for BuyDRM, we first started by focusing on the very first step, which is our encryption key API. And we've spent a considerable amount of time kind of taking a dual path exercise, because before CPIX came out, which stands for the Content Protection Information Exchange Format, which was a phrase coined by the -IF many, many years ago. Prior to that happening, every DRM company in the business had their own content encryption key API. And so in our case, we had, over 150 partners who had deployed our API on their platforms. And with kind of this perception that CPIX was now a universal specification, which, to be clear, it's not, it's a baseline spec. We decided to go ahead and embrace CPIX to some extent. What started to happen was we were seeing encoding companies and server companies and cloud encoding companies coming up with their own CPIX specs, which was kind of weird. So we came up with our version of CPIX, our flavor, if you will, and we started to roll that out to our partners. And it's gone very well. It's definitely a step above our existing API, although our existing API is just as secure. CPIX does offer some different ways to secure the encryption key pipeline. And so we spent a lot of time scaling up the CPIX interfaces and really improving it, working with, fast adopters. We have different partners who have deployed it both on-prem encoding, in the cloud encoding, and on the server side. So, like Unified and Wowza are partners of ours. Now, Unified uses any CPIX spec for the most part, but we've been modernizing all of that. And in some cases where CPIX isn't adopted, like in the case of, let's say, Wowza, we've just modernized our plugin for Wowza to be able to increase the throughput of getting the content encryption keys. Secondly, what we've done is we've divested our analytics from our licensing platform. So with the big kind of move in the past 2 years, as I'm sure you've seen, and I've seen, myself firsthand, analytics is now kind of the premier data science in our business, because we've mostly figured out how to encode, host, deliver, and play and protect content. But now it's into the nitty gritty, really understanding what's going on a per transaction basis. And when you're doing billions of transactions a year, like we are, it's important to be able to finally to refine the data and present it in a way our clients can easily view it. We did a press release about 3 weeks ago. We came out with a new platform called KeyQ, which is our new analytics platform. And what we've done is we've changed the way that we harvest DRM statistical data. And we've, like I said, divested that from the platform so that it's more modern, it's more secure, it's more robust, it's more timely, and it's more accurate. We've also added a portal, a standalone portal, keyq.com, where our clients can go, non-technical people who don't want to have access to the QoS account, sales, marketing, finance, legal, management, they can go and just see the analytical data around their DRM consumption, which is a big step. Lastly, we've just scaled up and improved the performance of our licensing platform significantly. At the end of last year, we announced that we had done over 10 billion licenses in a year. That was a new record for any DRM company that's in the business.
Wow.
You can go out and look at other announcements by Verimatrix or Cast Labs or others and see We have some clients that are doing more licenses in a day than their biggest client is doing in a month.
Wow.
And, I'll talk about that a little more later, but we've really gotten aggressive about decreasing the latency in the playback platform, because latency is also now a very big focus in our industry, low latency streaming.
Mhm.
So we're the first DRM company to kind of step out with a low latency DRM message. And we publish tons of information about how our clients can lower latency. And we've seen that information adopted by other companies like Intertrust, who's now taken our low latency, DRM message and integrated it into their message.
Okay. You talked about CPIX quite a bit. Let's talk about another C, and that's CMAF. And CMAF is of course, all the rage in the industry right now. For years we've been seeking, or the industry has been seeking, sort of the holy grail of video containers, right? That is at the intersection of new encryption modes and manifest formats. What impact will CMAF have on how BuyDRM supports the market demand for DRM in the coming year?
Sure. Yeah, CMAF has been another one of those C's that's kind of been creeping in the background. I mean, obviously, the industry is kind of looking for this holy grail format, and really the big issues around it have been DRM and how to unify the encryption mode. That's really the big lift with supporting CMF, is unifying the encryption mode from CTR to CBCS across the board. And so, with Apple and Google and Microsoft adopting that, we now see real movement towards CMAF. So a couple things. One, we have a webcast on the 10th with Bitmoving during their Security and Protection Week, where we'll be talking extensively about CMAF.
Mhm.
I'm the founder of the CMF group on LinkedIn. We have over 1,600 members in the group. We have a lot of CMF discussions in there. We post a new story about CMF every day from somebody in the
Okay.
industry. And what we're doing is we're going to educate our clients about CMF, because it's not a showstopper for us. It's more about the playback and the formatting of the content. We're kind of in the middle of that. So
Right.
we've announced that we'll be rolling out a new improvement to the multi-pack utility. That's our encryption utility that our clients can use, where we'll support CMAF across the board, HLS and CMAF, Dash and CMAF with common encryption. And then we're also going to roll out a new update to our Wowza multi-pack plugin, which will support all flavors of CMF except HLS and CMAF, which Wowza is working on right now on their side.
Mhm.
And we have a great blog coming out about CMAF and how to move to CMAF. But in general, we're kind of helping increase the thought leadership around CMAF, because it seems like a daunting, complex task, but it's really not. It's really just about encapsulating your HLS and Dash content inside a CMF wrapper, and then using the proper encryption mode on the DRM to enable the playback. And then lastly, ensuring that the player supports that rendering of the, let's say, Dash inside CMAF with Widevine, for example. So the tweaks are kind of to the left of us on the encoding and to the right of us on the playback, but we're ready to go. Our platform is entirely CMAF compliant with all forms of CMAF. And we do believe it will render, significant cost savings to our clients, which will allow them to scale the reach of their business further.
That's excellent. One of the things I've noticed is that BuyDRM has been talking more in the last year about watermarking and the intersection or marriage of watermarking and DRM, specifically around the success you've had with the 2020 Academy Awards screeners that you were one of the many companies working on. What are you doing to innovate new solutions that combine watermarking and DRM, either as a service or software or both?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, so we have a case study on our website at buydrm.com about the work we did with the Oscars and the Academy Awards. I'm not sure there'll be a repeat performance next year, considering the lack of theatrical releases. So we're kind of taking that message, which we have published pretty extensively through streamingmedia.com. We've done a lot of co-contribution and work with Jan and other writers, Troy, I believe, to kind of introduced many years ago, actually, at Streaming Media East, the concept that watermarking DRM are going to continue to move closer and closer in the marketplace. And here's why. Because DRM is now ubiquitous, it's pervasive, it's a studio mandated technology, it's supported across the entire video workflow, from the encoding to the serving to the delivery to the playback. And so as a result of that, we are closing down more and more openings in video offerings that are driving up the kind of need for pirates to focus on screen capturing, camera capturing content. And so as a result, we've kind of closed all the doors to the home, and now people are trying to climb in the windows. And that's where watermarking comes in.
Sure.
Because, DRM will drive all of the dishonest people to try and do screen capturing or video recording because they can't defeat the cryptography. And although there's a lot of talk this month about, let's say, Widevine being hacked, which is actually not accurate at this point, there's always these kind of illusions. We've had different companies in the industry make these odd statements that DRM libraries can be compromised, that encryption key APIs and license key APIs can be compromised. That's all a bunch of rubbish. Where the traction and movement is around screen capture, and it's around camera recording. So we've started kind of telling clients that, first off, if you want to eliminate screen capturing, use native DRM in a native browser on a native platform. So if you want to eliminate screen capturing and cut down on how much watermarking you're going to need, you're going to use Dash with PlayReady in Edge on Windows. You're going to use HLS with FairPlay in Safari on Mac OS X. It's only when you try and use Chrome with Widevine on non-native platforms that screen capturing becomes a factor. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that by tying together watermarking and DRM, you're basically creating more confidence in the market and enabling your clients to be more successful. So, what we've done is we've taken several years of experience in the space, tentatively are launching a service in Q1 of next year. I say tentatively because there are some kind of market things that are going on with different watermarking vendors. But we're going to be announcing our watermarking as a service probably the third week of January for rollout in Q1. This is going to be a publicly available watermarking as a service platform where each user can get a unique file that's forensically watermarked and DRM'd on the fly. We're going to start offering it in AWS. And then based on the success of that and kind of the lessons learned and the evolution of the core software that's running the watermarking as a service, which is what we call the KeyOS Media Engine. We're going to offer the KeyOS Media Engine as a standalone watermarking product for clients to use that will apply forensic watermarking and DRM. So just like we had the multi-key service, which we later on then pulled the server out of and offer the multi-key server, we're going to do the same thing with the watermarking as a service. And that's where we're headed in 2021. And I think you're going to see a lot of movement around watermarking and DRM in the coming year.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, earlier you mentioned the number of licenses that you had done in 2019. And in fact, early 2020, you issued a press release saying you did more than 10 billion licenses in 2019. Can you talk about what you've seen so far for 2020, how you think the year is going to end up, and maybe even where you think you might be next year?
Yeah, I mean, it's real clear on our end that we have a significant growth phase that we've just gone through over the last 9 months. Ever since the lockdown started, all of our clients have started to see dramatic increase in streaming hours and consumption. That's no secret. We are conservatively, and without giving our CTO's office palpitations or getting in trouble with our chairman, I will just say that we are close to about a 22 to 25% growth. So we're looking at anywhere from 12 billion to close to 13 billion licenses this year, which is no small task. So we'll definitely, keep the streaming media audience availed of that. And we've got a couple big months here with the holidays coming, and streaming hours tend to go up. So we'll keep you posted. Streaming media will be the first to know for sure.
Awesome. And and again, like you said earlier, with the theaters they're not entirely closed, but there's nothing much going on in the theaters. We're going to see even more people turn to streaming during the holidays for big entertainment where they might have otherwise bundled the kids up and gone to the movie theater. So it'll be very exciting.
A lot of direct releases coming for sure. And Apple has some surprises coming too with regard to expanding their platform to other platforms, which will even drive up our licensing more significantly. So
terrific. We'll be on the lookout for that. And we'll be on the lookout for what else is to come from BuyDRM in the next year or so. All right.
Great.
Thanks so much, Christopher.
Thank you, Eric. Have a great day.
You too.
All right. Bye now.